Hey, what's up guys? John here. Cities all throughout America are seeing a crime wave.
Nationwide, crime is dominating.
A surge in organized retail crime. Stores are losing big money.
Target says that last year it lost hundreds of millions of dollars from theft.
Chicago, San Francisco, LA, New York City. And many people are even hearing of hundreds of stores closing up locations. Best Buy, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, you name it. They're all closing up shop.
Target announced this week that it's planning to close several stores, citing retail theft.
Fourth Walgreens is now closing in Boston.
One of the biggest drugstore chains is closing a major location in one of the nation's biggest cities, which has seen a recent rise in retail crime. A CVS.
But many people just listen to this and they'll say, you know what, it's because of inflation, the rising cost of living, and people are being pushed to the edge and they're going out there stealing and these stores are closing because of that. What if I were to tell you that that's just the tip of the iceberg? But what's actually going to happen is going to blow your mind inside of all these cities. I'm talking about rents falling in a very big way, property values falling in a very big way. Stores are going to continue to close up shop. We're going to see millions of cars being taken off the road. We're going to see a complete change in the way people view city living. Now in this video, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you the facts as to what's really happening behind the scenes to help you and position you to build wealth inside of this massive wealth transfer. That's what we're in right now. It started in 2020. It's ramping up now. And over the next couple of years, it's going to get unreal. So if you position yourself and you put yourself in a really good spot, cash in the bank, out of consumer credit card debt, stable income, good credit, you put yourself in a good spot, you don't have too much leverage, you're going to be able to move forward and really make a lot of money. In this video, I'm going to break it down. I'll give you the facts to help you. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. YouTube will share this content to educate the people about what's going on in America's economy. If you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any issue at all on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free strategy session. Take a look at this. So Rite Aid is planning to close 77 stores in 2024. 77 locations. Macy's, 150 locations. Then you have another Macy's store closing plan, Deja Vu from 2020. Best Buy, they are closing locations. So you have Best Buy announced that they're not finished with closings yet. So they're getting ready to close up more locations. The epidemic of shoplifting apparently is costing $100 billion, and this is in July of 2023. So the number is probably greater than that now. So credit card debt's picked up, buy now, pay later. Millions of Americans are leaning on this for groceries. So you can imagine that this number has probably only gone up. Then, you're hearing of the massive spike in crime throughout Chicago and these big cities, right? Now, how this all transitions. You're seeing cities across America moving to no cash bail. So meaning you can get caught for a crime and then you'll get arrested and then you'll be released the same day, right? So in an inflationary environment with very, very little consequence to your crime, if someone were to be forced to commit a crime or they felt like, hey, the downside risk of getting caught pales in comparison to the upside of getting away with it, you're going to see a lot of people start to commit crimes, right? And so what's happening now is California is doing this. They've eliminated cash bail. They're now moving into a situation called pretrial release. And so pretrial release, essentially, you can get basically in trouble. Pretrial release is an alternative to a traditional cash bail system. Under the pretrial release system, you may be released while you wait for trial without needing to arrange cash bail. If you're arrested and you have the opportunity to appear before a judge, the judge can then decide if you're eligible to go on pretrial release until your case is resolved. In some cases, police officers will just issue a citation instead of arresting you. So you're seeing New Jersey, New Mexico, Kentucky, all moving into this, as well as Chicago is moving into this as well. So you're seeing a bunch of different locations moving into this, no cash bail type of way. And you have to ask yourself why. Why is all of this moving in this direction? Well, I saw this article. It came out yesterday. This is from a Washington Post reporter. It says that shoplifting is not a big deal because the U.S. is built on stolen land. I'm telling you, this is going to continue to be incentivized. So if you own a small business, pay very close attention to this. Even if you don't, you have to understand where we're going. She says it became a horror story of late capitalism, right? And she says, though, rather than reflect on the crime that has been forced on these store owners and major U.S. stores, the reporter delved in how these crimes are being seized upon conservatives, trying to stoke fear about crime waves. The reporter continued implying that there's an ancestral guilt about stealing and colonization at play, this moral panic, right? So she says, now this is a political talking point, talking about theft and stealing people's, life's work. What's happening is we're going to start to see crime become really, really normalized. To our stores, store owners and cities start to move into facial recognition. They start to move into, ways in which they can integrate AI into their practices to reduce losses. Crime's going to get so bad to where, cities are going to say, you know what? They're going to wait. People are going to beg for a solution. They'll say, you know what? I think we can help you here. I think we can do this. But at that time, just not now. We're going to see more of this. I eat or pay my bills. Americans describe their rent burden, fears, and concerns. We're going to see more and more of this. And people, what they're doing is millions of people are stealing, and a lot of those are selling it on Amazon, selling it on eBay, selling it on different locations, Facebook, and think about it. It's an all-profit business. They go into Nordstrom, they go into Louis Vuitton, they go into these stores, steal $500, $1,000 worth of stuff, and they go sell it for half off on social media. This is what's really happening. It's gotten out of control. Amazon or Business Insider, you can be buying shoplifted stuff on Amazon, eBay, and Facebook. Now, what I find very fascinating is right now in Florida, retailers, they embrace AI to combat the rise in retail theft. Artificial intelligence can provide innovative solutions such as real-time surveillance that notifies management of suspicious activity. Organized crime rings have increased the threat and theft among retailers across the United States. Artificial intelligence offers new and efficient solutions to combat theft for the industry leaders looking to enhance anti-theft protections while keeping their customers and team members safe. Right? So you're hearing more of this. Philly store owner uses AI to stop shoplifters. This just came out 2 days ago. And now he's using a AI called Vision. And this Vision will essentially watch every single person that goes into the store, and they'll track suspicious activity, and they'll alert him before the crime even takes place to where he could kind of go over there and surveil the situation. So you're going to see more and more and more of this. For example, a recent study found that smart technology such as AI could help cities reduce crime by 30 to 40% and reduce response times for emergency services by 25 to 35%. The same study found that cities have started to invest in real-time crime mapping, crowd management, and this detection. So you kind of look around here and you can see how it's going to be all about public safety and operations in these cities. It says around the world, urbanization continues to shape the way people live. More and more of the world's population is moving into rural and urban areas. Farmland is being developed to accommodate growing housing needs. Previously modest cities are becoming mega cities. With this change comes commercial development, collaboration, economic growth, but also increased congestion, crime rates, and waste creation. Among the most troubling these effects to the threat as a public safety, right? So we're going to see more and more and more of this. McKinsey's talking about it, using advanced technologies to address the urban challenges. This is what's going to be happening. And they were talking about this 6 years ago, right? This is what's going to be happening. And law enforcement's already moving in this direction too. So we're going to see all of these things happen so quickly. And so the big change is going to be when they mention they're going to see an increase in density. How is this actually going to happen? You've heard of these office to residential conversions. So many people will say that's never going to happen. It's just too expensive. You might as well knock the building down and rebuild it. In many cases, that's probably true. But what if they were to do more of a different model? What if they were to do something like communal bathrooms where there's one bathroom on one main floor and you had 20 or 30 units sharing 1 or 2 or 3 bathrooms? What if that were to happen? Because when you start to look at what's happening, this is coming on like whitehouse.gov, they're talking about all of these changes. It says office residential conversions have surged 357% since 2021 as billions in commercial mortgages come due. So you're seeing this rug pull that's going to occur over the next year or two, 3. 2.2 trillion in debt has to get refied over the next 3 years, right? So you're seeing all this debt that has to get refied. You're seeing vacancy rates at about 18.5% to 20% depending on the city, and you're seeing high borrowing costs, high insurance, and high taxes. A lot of these investors that bought these office buildings are underwater, and so as these go back to the bank, you're going to see the incentives, the tax incentives, and they're even offering $40 billion right now in direct funding to developers to move into these residential conversions. And it gets a lot more interesting because what you see here is you're seeing this. So whitehouse.gov says commercial real estate investment volumes fell by 64% year over year in the second quarter of 2023. At the same time, Office vacancies reached a 30-year high to 18.2%, as shown in Figure 1. The vacancies persist from coast to coast. The vacancy rates have reduced for foot traffic to the office-adjacent economy, reducing demand for local businesses, including restaurants, dry cleaners, convenience stores, retailers, and hair salons. A new innovative announced today by the Biden-Harris administration helps accelerate conversions of commercial properties to residential use, presenting an opportunity to prevent such a loop. So you think about this. They're not talking about just office buildings. They're talking about restaurants, dry cleaners, convenience stores, and retailers and retail. So when these stores are moving out and they're seeing a massive write-down on the values of these properties, and they're talking about, all of this funding. So policymakers in cities, Washington, D.C., New York, San Fran, are taking action to revitalize their downtowns through commercial to residential conversions, including vacant offices, hotels, and other non-office commercial space. Proponents of the policies see them as opportunities both to revitalize their vacant real estate and address long-run supply shortages, which is plaguing the U.S. housing market and contributing to decreased housing affordability. As the end of 2020, the market was short 3.8 million housing units. Vacancy rental rates have risen in the 4 years, the lowest that they've seen since the 1980s. So what you're seeing is the push to change all of these properties to make them, more useful. And so how this is all going to work is it's not just going to be office, it's not just going to be retail, it's not just going to be restaurants, it's going to be schools as well. So abandoned schools garner top grades in adaptive reuse. And so they're moving many developers and design firms to look into the adaptive reuse of underutilized office buildings as an answer to today's dearth of affordable housing. But a superior solution may be found in converting the schools of yesteryear to much needed housing. That is a conviction of architects of Moody Nolan, the nation's largest owned architectural firm, which has successfully undertaken several such conversions. So they've talked about this. Then, you're here, right here. We've renovated a $90,000 abandoned school into a 33-unit apartment building. Take a look inside. This this came out December 2nd last year, right? So you're seeing more and more and more of a discussion of this. You're even hearing of a lot of teachers getting let go of their positions. This is happening all across the nation, So they want to have children learn through VR and AR and learn from home, which they can then use a lot of these schools to, you're even hearing about a lot of these cities offering, they're in major deficits. They're cutting back dramatically on school funding. So they're gonna start to move in the direction of changing a lot of these schools. Not all of them. It's not gonna happen overnight, but they're moving in this direction. Now, what I find very interesting is rents are falling in major cities. Here are 24 metro areas where tenants are paying less this year. So you're seeing rents starting to fall. And as rents fall, what many people don't realize is a lot of investors will buy a deal based on a 5% return, a 6% return, and they'll have a set return if it's a stabilized deal. Let's say the market's already at rent, at market rate rent, and they'll buy it and they'll just hold the deal hoping that rents are going to continue to appreciate, like what we've seen in 2020 and 2021 and 2022. But as rents start to soften, what's going to happen? And supply starts to increase. We're at a 50-year high in apartment construction. What's going to happen? The returns on these deals are going to continue to erode with it. Yet borrowing costs are not, getting any cheaper. You have 7.5% mortgage rates, and many of these people bought these deals at, a 3.5%, 4.5% interest rate environment. A lot of these people are going to be underwater as they start to issue a lot of these conversions over the next couple of years. What I believe is going to happen is what's happening right now in Los Angeles. LA wants to use a master leasing approach to housing for the homeless, where they're going to basically go to these landlords and say, you know what, we can help you. We might be able to do something like this, where City Council moved forward on Friday on plans to begin a master leasing program in the city, picking an approach already in use by LA County to expand a number of available units to unhoused residents. Master leasing is securing of all of our parts of apartment buildings on a long-term lease, then subleasing the units to unhoused individuals or families while providing them the supportive services. So basically the landlord will be the manager and then the city will come in there and lease everything. Now that might be a really good solution. It might actually, work out well if the funding remains, because if they pull that funding and then these landlords have to evict these tenants for failure to pay, and you're going to try to evict a tenant that was, put in there by the city, that might be pretty challenging, right? You're going to go to the city and ask the city to evict the tenant in which they put in? I don't know. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see Amazon moving into this. We're going to see Walmart moving into this, drone deliveries. We're going to see a lot of change unfolding in these cities in the next couple of years. It's going to be pretty shocking how fast this is going to happen. You know, in 2017, they predicted that only 20% of Americans will own cars in the next basically 8 years. So 2017, right? So yeah, about 8 years from now. And so you look at this, and we're moving in this direction right now. All of these changes, people can barely afford their vehicles. All of these changes are unfolding pretty quickly. And I personally think that the next couple of years, what we're going to start to see is the wealthy are going to be moving outside of the cities, and the people that are really on a budget are going to be living in the cities. Big changes are going to be coming, but I'm curious, what do you think? Where do you see all of this going? Do you think we're going to see a situation where we are going to see a lot of AI, a lot of tech being, applied inside of these cities? Facial recognition, all of this is going to begin happening, and we're going to see real estate values change in a really, really big way. We're going to see tourist revenue, I believe, get really pulled out of cities specifically over the next couple of years as all this is kind of happening in San Francisco and LA and Chicago. I think things are going to get pretty bad to where people are going to start demanding these new solutions. Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. Look, no one in the U.S. may own one, right? So this is Business Insider saying, nearly no one in the U.S. may own one. Instead, most Americans would hail self-driving electric ride shares to get around. We're not far off, right? Think about how crazy this would have been if reading this, 7 years ago. People would have been like, that's never going to happen. Now you're hearing about all these, I'm even seeing friends on social media, hopping in these vehicles in different cities where there's no driver, it's just fully electric. It's just self-driving. So I think, inside the next 5-6 years, we are going to see all this happen. What do you think? Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. If you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for this massive transfer of assets that we're walking into, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free strategy session for Monday. Catch you next video.